the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss, Pauly Howard with you live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Coming up over the next 3 hours, professional sports bettor Chris Massaro on the show, who was very strong on the Commanders in the preseason, has huge tickets. We'll ask him why he liked them and how he is going to go about hedging for those of you who are in the same boat. Thomas Gable from the Borgata in Atlantic City on the program. Coming up a little bit later on. Remember that story 2 years ago? They couldn't stop taking Philadelphia money? Has it been the same thing this year? And Mike Somich, VSiN host. Later on, he'll empty the chamber with his best bets for the weekend. Thanks for watching on YouTube TV today. Nesson Plus, Masson Sports as well. Listening or watching on the VSiN app and on Sirius XM channel 158. Okay, so DraftKings moved the AFC title game today to Chiefs minus 2.5, minus 105, Bills plus 2.5, minus 115 at their book. I find this very interesting because I don't think quarterback records, like it's never really done anything for me. It's not just it's a team game, right? So Josh Allen is 0-3 in the postseason versus the Chiefs. You probably all know that. He's also 4-1 in the regular season against Kansas City. However, when you break down the numbers in the regular season and compare them to his numbers in the postseason, his numbers in the playoffs are actually better than they are. And they are like sterling across the board in the regular season. 4-1 record, 26 points per game, shy of 300 offensive yards per game, 13 total touchdowns and 4 turnovers. Those are his numbers in the regular season. In the postseason, 0-3 record, 28 points per game, so 2 more points per game, 343 offensive yards per game, 9 total touchdowns, 1 turnover. It has not been his fault. He needs help. He'll be good again on Sunday. He's going to need some help from everybody else to beat the Chiefs.
Does he have to be Superman? Maybe. But this goes back to, what do you think of Kansas City? That yes, they're 16-1 when everyone plays, but the luck factor and the nonsense and the officiating and still finding a way to win and all the lucky breaks. You know, they looked awful last week. Didn't do anything offensively against Houston other than a couple long plays to Kelsey. Are they going to play like that again? I can't imagine. While the Bills' defense has been pretty good in the playoffs, there was a lot that they screwed up and a lot of bad performances in the regular season, especially that Rams game and especially how the Lions lit them up. So it just goes back to, even though it opened 1 and 1.5 in most spots, I'd still be surprised if they can win this game based on the history and based on the fact that you have to play almost a perfect game to beat this guy. And 7 straight trips to the AFC title game. The Bills haven't won a road playoff game since 92. Haven't made the Super Bowl since 93, and they haven't won a road playoff game, obviously, under McDermott either. So it's hard to get there saying everything's going to align, stars will align, Buffalo's going to the Super Bowl, but a lot's going to have to go right, and it'll start with how do you take care of the ball.
Sure.
So as much as we talk about the luck factor with Kansas City, which we'll get to again coming up, the Bills are plus 24 in the turnover differential, which is nuts. Third most in takeaways, fewest giveaways, and you saw what happened last week. I felt they were outplayed by Baltimore. Baltimore should have won, but Baltimore beat themselves with 3 turnovers, and that's why Buffalo moves on as well. But it just goes back to the history, too. Well, you mentioned, not Allen's fault, but run out in 2020 in the AFC title game. He was awesome the following year when they blew it with 13 seconds left.
It might have been the best playoff game like ever by a quarterback, and they lost the game.
Fair, right, absolutely. And then last year, that's a game you got to win. You're at home. It's not a good Kansas City team, and you lose 24-20.
I will say that this year's Buffalo team is better than last year's Buffalo team. Now, is Kansas City's team this year better than last year? I think they're probably pretty close. Right? And it's the same thing. We've all been mocking this team the entire year. They're not good. They win all these one-score games. That can't continue. Mm-hmm. Here they are, home field advantage to go back to the Super Bowl, and we're all probably going to feel really stupid on Sunday night if they win this game again and they're playing for yet another title.
That's right. Yeah. And just say then it becomes, is this ever going to happen for Allen and the Bills? Because it's but to go back to the first meeting, though, what happened? 8 straight games the Chiefs haven't turned the ball over. But in that loss in Buffalo, they turned it over twice, and it was Mahomes throwing interceptions. And then that was the great touchdown run from Allen to ice it and put him up 2 scores as well. I was shocked going back to look at that that they dominated time of possession, yet Cook didn't do anything in that game.
I know he did basically nothing in the game.
So I was looking at props today about most rushing yards in the game, and you would think that's a great bet. He's plus 120. He did nothing in the first game.
Think about this for a second. So this is at vsin.com, right? Steve Mackin and all the great numbers. I retweeted it earlier today. Teams that control the time of possession in the playoffs are 31-11 straight up and 32-10 ATS. That's 76+% in conference title games since 2003. It's massive, right? When you look at the first game, to your point, Pauly, Buffalo had the ball for 34 minutes in the first game. They ran the ball 31 times for 104 yards. Like, that's a crappy game on the ground. That's not efficient. And Buffalo overall was 8th in time of possession in the regular season. KC was 10th overall, but those numbers don't lie. It's a pretty alarming, ATS record at 76% over the last 20 plus years with time of possession and how big that might be. But again, big games like this, and Mahomes all year long, not even close to playing at an MVP level. Kelsey, milk carton, long time throughout the year. In his 3 playoff wins against Buffalo, Mahomes, 75% completion percentage, 306 yards per game, 8.7 yards per attempt, 8 touchdowns, no INTs, a quarterback rating of 126 plus. Kelsey's 3 playoff games against Buffalo, on average, 8.7 catches per game, 96.3 yards, and 1.7 touchdowns per game. He's had 2, 1, and 2 touchdowns in the playoff games against the Bills. Right? Because the same thing happened with that guy last year. Where is he? The end is coming. He's going to retire. He's going to marry, Taylor Swift, and that's going to be it for his career. This year came back, not a lot in the regular season, no longer tight end number 1 in the league. And what happened in the first playoff game? Wide open. And I don't know how that's possible by the Texans. So do the Bills look at that film? Do they know that Kelsey can't kill him? And is it going to be like Texas was against Ohio State? We're not going to let Smith beat us here. We're going to put 2, maybe even bracket him with a couple of other guys throughout the entire game, and Kelsey cannot have more than 3 or 4 catches here.
That's what I would do. I'd be okay if it's Hopkins or someone else that can get me. But there's some big names out here with these teams. Is there going to be an unsung hero? Is there going to be an appearance from Amari Cooper? Can he do anything? Can Hopkins do anything? Can you get anything of Hollywood Brown? Tight end should be big for Buffalo, but maybe it's something with the running back position. Paul Charchian had that great breakdown. 21% targets of the Bills go to running backs, and that just screams Pirine. Right. Maybe he could be an unsung hero. But like our Kansas City guest said earlier in the week, what happens up front? They couldn't get to Allen in the first game. And Spags is going to blitz once they get off the bus. So you dial up pressure. Can you get to him? I think he was only sacked 17 times this year, and you couldn't get to him in the first game. So they were all over Stroud and sacked him 8 times last week. But if Allen's able to scramble, run, keep plays alive, time of possession, clean pocket, can't put him on his butt, then they're going to have an excellent chance to win because he's been so good this year. Oh. And the same things goes back to what happens with Mahomes. Do they get pressure on him? Do they put him on his butt? And I hate to say it, but it also comes down to how they officiate this thing, too. Wow. And it could be a close game.
We better not have shenanigans.
Could be, yeah. But I point out Clete Blakeman, and he's on the game. He's number 1 in the league in flags thrown. But also I find this interesting from ESPN. In games officiated by Blakeman, Mahomes is 6-6. He's 110-30 in every other game.
Whoa.
He's 500 with this guy.
Okay.
And he's number 1 in flags. So that's big, and we'll see how they call it. And I know, Hockley likes to call the holding calls, too, and he's on the NFC game.
Okay, so I found this very intriguing. Earlier in the week, our morning show here on VSiN called VSiN by the Books, Dave Ross and former NFL GM, now our GM, Mark Dominic. And Mark talked on the air about how the Bills need to approach the referees before the game.
Let's play football. Let's call it the same, because that's the problem here. You're not going to call it. You're worried if you're the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen, who's a bull, is not going to get the same kind of protection that Patrick Mahomes might get. Yet they're still doing the exact same thing. So you as a club need to be on top of that during the pregame with the officiating crew to say, hey, look, let's just make sure we're calling the same for both ways. Let's take the bubble wrap off of Patrick Mahomes. That's an important part of the puzzle. And then you got to hope that that's how it plays out. But that's the only thing you can really do at this point of the game. You can call up to 3:45 right now, but it doesn't change the outcome of the game for the Houston Texans. But you do set the table for it pregame about an hour and a half to 2 hours before the game.
Isn't that wild? There you go. There's a former GM telling you how they need to approach it, and he's spot on with that.
Yeah, and you saw what happened to Lamar Jackson. Tackled on the white, no call.
Mm-hmm.
And then how Mahomes plays games in the the stuff on the sideline and also the two egregious calls that went against Houston.
Yeah, I put so to your point on, who's going to step up in the passing game here? Which receiver is going to have a big game? And I fully believe the Bills have to find a way to obviously have extra attention on Travis Kelce. I mean, that's, Captain Obvious here checking in. So if that's going to be the case, even though he looks so slow out there, my God, how is he still beating teams? I think you can really find, and I don't know who it's going to be, but I put a couple of pizza bets in on the player to have the most receiving yards in this game. Look at that. The Chiefs won last week. Brown and Hopkins had nothing. Zero in the game. Believe it. So what if they slow down Kelce? Well, Noah Gray came on at the back end of the season. He's like 80-1 most receiving yards. Also, the Chiefs against tight ends allowed 68.5 yards per game to the position, second most behind Cincinnati in the league. Dawson Knox is 49 or 50-1. Dalton Kincaid is in the 14-1 range. I sprinkled a little bit there.
Kincaid's too low. Yeah. I bet that too.
And I bet him over 30.5 yards too.
Yeah,
somebody in this game, there's a path here where the leading receiver might have 65 yards.
That's possible.
The Bills don't take shots down the field. It's all about singles like they talked about in August.
Absolutely. VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, now live 24/7. Sirius XM Channel 158, whether you're at home, on the road, or on the go. There's more ways to tune in than ever. Stream us live, VSiN.com, the VSiN Watch app, YouTube TV, iHeartRadio, Fire TV, Roku, and now Sirius XM Channel 158. We're everywhere.
We're going to dive into the Eagles and Commanders up next. We'll tie in the Chiefs with the Eagles coming up, the two home favorites this weekend. There is a 65% angle hitting in this spot over the last decade. Plus, details next here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Now we hit the NFC. Eagles hosting the Commanders. Mostly, the Eagles are laying 6 in this game. There is a 6.5 out there, maybe a couple of them, and the consensus total here is 47.5. So to tie in those numbers we told you about, the time of possession and the home teams here this weekend, and what we said about the Chiefs-Bills in the previous segment, Philadelphia had the ball for 33 minutes in the first matchup. They ran for 228 yards. They won that game. It wasn't easy, but they won the game. The Eagles had the ball for 36 minutes in the second game. They ran for 211 yards. Washington had 5 turnovers, and the Commanders won the game. Philly led the league in time of possession this year, 32-plus minutes per game. Washington, not that far behind, 7th most overall. And what I was talking about before the break, again, VSiN.com, Steve Mackin with the numbers here. Home teams favored by fewer than 7 points in the championship round are 17-6 straight up, 15-8 ATS. The last 23 tries, that is 65.2%. However, keep in mind, Baltimore, they were 4.5 last year to the Chiefs, and they lost outright. I've heard both sides, solid cases to both sides this week, and I do not have a bet on this game.
Yeah, well, Sal Pal's right. It's how Washington handles Carter with Cosme out now, and how do they handle Barkley. So that was a bizarre game the first time. It was that Thursday night. It was 10-6 in the fourth quarter, and then 3 quick touchdowns, 2 by Barkley, and then the, oh, by the way, touchdown by Washington with 20 seconds left. But it's like the guy from the Sports Junkie said, who was on with us yesterday. It's like if Detroit just ran the ball, they were going to do whatever they wanted and just gashing them on the ground. So we know Washington's 30th against the run. Just line it up with your great offensive line, punch him in the mouth, and I don't think they can stop it. And then you can also throw Hurts in there as well. He's going to play with the brace. He had 70 yards before the knee injury last week. We'll see what he looks like. But it's a great home field advantage. They've won 9 in a row, and they've won 14 of 15. And here was the loss with that fluky game where Hurts takes off, gets the concussion, Pickett comes in, they win the game, Smith drops it, he's wide open, had to settle for field goals in the red zone, and you're right, 5 turnovers, but 5 Daniels touchdowns. The thing that got my attention there was how he went up and down the field against the Philly defense, which never happens because they're number 2 in points per game allowed, and they have an awesome defense. But it starts with what's going to happen with Carter up front, and he can wreck you, and can Daniels handle the cold outside and continue to play clean football, and can they contain Barkley? I mean, look at his prop. It's a record to see he's at there 127.5 with the rushing prop.
Well, Philly's defense obviously is very good. It's the best unit left in the playoffs, in my opinion. Are they going to be able to neutralize this offense for Washington?
I don't know.
Can they contain him?
I don't know. And what's contained? 24 points?
20, 21.
Man, it's tough. I'm concerned about McLaurin. I think that's a good bet, plus 240 to have most receiving yards in the game. The Browns come on, too. He's at $187 in the playoffs. Tampa turned it over, and we know what the Lions did last week, so Washington's been a little fortunate as well. But as much as we talk about Barkley and can they contain Barkley, what's Hurts going to look like and what's the passing game going to look like?
Sure.
Because
I don't trust it at all.
You don't know, but there's so many weapons there, and Goddard's good to go. I mean, what you can do to Goddard, what you get Brown involved and Smith and all these guys that they have, and even if you can get that, dial it up with Kellen Moore. Imagine they come out throwing the ball and surprise Washington.
Well, I would not do that.
No,
but let me clarify my comment, by the way. So I mean, I don't know if Hurts, they can say all they want and he can practice and they can put a full designated practice report on him. I still think that there's a chance where he's going to be a little bit, slow in this game. He looked awful against the Rams from a physical standpoint. And he had no chance against that great defensive front for the Rams.
That's why everything's got to be quick then. And that's on Kellen Moore. And they also have to do a better job up front. Becton with the stupid, downfield blocking too soon. Wiped out Goddard inside the 5-yard line. Johnson with the false start at the 1-yard line. Stuff like that they got to clean up. A.J. Brown can't drop a touchdown pass.
Sure.
But it's got to be, you're right, if he can't move and they're going to bring heat, and if they can't protect him up front, it's got to be quick stuff to Goddard and slants and quick stuff to Smith.
So as a reminder of how the first two games went on the Washington defensive side of things, trying to contain Saquon Barkley did not happen. Game 1, 26 for 146 and 2 touchdowns. His longest carry of the game went for 39 yards. He broke it open completely in the fourth quarter. He was awesome, and I think that's when it really turned into a thing like, oh my God, he is a wrecking ball against defenses in the fourth quarter. In Game 2, he had 29 carries for 150 and 2 touchdowns. His longest rush was 68 yards in that game. His prop now is up to 130.5. All I can do is laugh at that number, not because he can't get there. It's because I've never seen that before for a running back, and it's never been that high, I don't think, ever in the history of player props at any book ever. So, I mean, it's the thing to me, it says you have to bet under that, but then I'm going to hate myself when he has 2 runs that, combined for 112 yards, and he has 25 carries for 216. Like, well, that was a stupid bet. What was I thinking? This defense stinks, and the Eagles did not do what the Lions did. Right. They didn't go pass happy. They didn't try to surprise them. They said, okay, we're going to beat this team with the best running back in football. They're not going to have an answer for it, so he's going to get 30 carries. You know what? I do have one bet on this game, and it's his longest carry over 20.5 yards. That's the one that I've taken so far. Home teams in this round that score 30 points or more are 17-1 straight up and 15-3 ATS going back. And you can, hear those numbers and say, well, yeah, it's going to be tough to beat a team that scores more than 30 points. I get it. They don't get to 30 points every game. Those that don't reach the 30-point mark are 14-14 straight up and only 8-20 ATS since 2002. So the most rushing yards in the game, Barkley, is minus 650.
It's probably too short. That's the other thing. I mean, that's nuts, but it should probably be higher.
You want to take a flyer on Gainwell at 150-1 in case Barkley goes down in the first series?
Stranger things have happened.
Right? I mean, that's what it would take. It would take a Barkley injury here immediately in this game, and then if that were to happen, Gainwell comes in, and Gainwell is going to rush for 18 carries for 110 yards.
Robinson's not going to do anything. Daniels is 7-1. He's the second choice. Robinson's 15-1.
Robinson had, 24 yards in one game against this Eagles defense? I don't know. And the Cosme injury really concerns me. Right?
Yep. Are you more? Yeah, that's big. And also, I think 4 straight road games is big.
True.
History has not been kind to those teams. That's a big deal, too. And Daniel's going out on the road in the cold. This is a tough place to play as well. So, but again, he continues to amaze and shock people, and this could be historic if they can win this in advance with the rookie quarterback with a 250-1, all of it, and doing this on the road as well. But as our guest said yesterday, they can come in loose. He's right. You look up and down the board, Philly's better everywhere.
Yeah.
Except quarterback, I would say. They're better at every position.
McLaurin's awesome.
But I take Philly's wide receivers, though.
Oh, overall, as a whole, yeah, but I think McLaurin's really, really good. And again, I said this yesterday, I want more De'Ami Brown. I think that kid's really good. To your point, though, the combination of Brown and Smith, I mean, that's super solid. What are we going to get from Goddard in this game?
60 yards and a touchdown? I think that's realistic.
Is he going to be healthy enough to do that?
He's good to go, he says. Yeah. I mean, and that stuff there, it's stealing. It's right there for him. Like what they did against Green Bay. 2nd and 1, you're going to play off him. You can stiff arm the guy. Creativity, put it in Barkley's belly, bring it out. Get it to him on the outside. I mean, that stuff's easy. And that's where Moore has to be creative. And that stuff's right there for you all the time, and it gets Hurts confidence early and get him some easy throws and get in a rhythm.
Yeah, also, how much does experience in the playoffs matter to you? Again, vsin.com. Since the 2004 season, playoff experience in the championship games for home teams. Home teams that were in the playoffs the prior year are 24-8 straight up and 16 check that 56% ATS going back, including 9-2 versus teams that were not in the playoffs the prior season. So both AFC teams were in the playoffs last year. Philadelphia was as well. Washington, first playoff appearance since 2021. Does that matter? Mm-hmm. I think, Dan, the coaching edge here goes to the Commanders.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Sirianni is...
well, Fangio's awesome, and I think Moore's good too.
Yeah,
but it's how much control and it's Sirianni. What's he going to do on 4th down? Now, that's not even close. I'll go with Dan Quinn on what to do and how is he going to treat 4th down as opposed to Sirianni. Not to mention he has a kicker that can't make anything from distance.
You know that play where they brought in Mariota last week? The first time they went for it?
That was not even close.
That was going to work. That was going to be a pitch back to Daniels, and he was going to be wide open to skedaddle. There was a timing problem with the running back, and they collided with each other. If that doesn't happen, if they shored that up, the pitcher's going to go to Daniels, and I think he could have scored a touchdown.
Yeah. But both these games, special teams could loom large, too.
Oh, yeah, no question.
I mean, I trust Butker. I know he's not 100%, but I can't trust Bass with a big kick. No way Elliott with his extra points. So that could loom large, too. Put your skills to the test. Pegasus Playoff Pick'em Challenge brought to you by our friends at First Bet. Sign up for free to play at vsin.com/Pegasus. Make your picks for Saturday's marquee horse races at Gulfstream Park, as well as Sunday's big football games. Top picks will receive First Bet vouchers you can use to play the ponies. Everyone who plays will receive VSiN Super Bowl betting guide. Head to vsin.com/Pegasus to play now.
Up next, we'll get down to brass tacks. More props coming up for the weekend and Championship Sunday. Very creative props that are available, such as will Mahomes, Allen, and Daniels combine to throw for a certain amount of touchdowns at a huge price? Will each team score 2 touchdowns? What about 3? What about 4? Plus pizza money on a 90-1 shot. We'll kick it around coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
So many fun props available for Championship Sunday. We'll discuss now here. Mitch Moss, Pauly Howard with you live downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. You like to dive into these. The field goals on top of everything else.
Oh, God, so much. I think both games can be close. Largest lead, 14.5. Someone going to be up 3 scores? I like the under there. That's aggressive, right? And then,
who would it be? Would it be Philly?
I would think Philly could, yeah. Especially maybe if Washington turns the ball over, they have no answer for Barkley. But, yeah. And then if you want to get aggressive with Kelsey, he's plus 325 here to have 100 yards. Shakir's 6-1. Worthy 7-1. And then it's also, you think it'll be a tight end party. Kincaid and Kelsey both to score 10-1. Mahomes and Allen to get in the end zone, both 10-1. You know what's happened in the past when they played. There's been fireworks. So there's a lot of good stuff here to dig into.
What do you think of this? Mahomes, Allen, Daniels to combine for 6+ passing touchdowns. Is that crazy?
No, that's not.
It's plus 195. That's at FanDuel. Evidently, we're going to get good weather in Kansas City.
I'd like more than that, but that's not bad.
Yeah, it's not going to be like last year when people were freezing to death when the Dolphins played at Arrowhead. It's going to be a little bit better than that. I don't know if we're going to get 42-36 again. And the final play, 13 seconds comes down to that. That's highly unlikely. But 6 touchdowns is doable, right? You figure, let's say, like, even if Allen and Mahomes combine for like 3, there's a chance where you can get 3 out of Daniels here just because their offense is so good, or with game flow where the Eagles do have that lead.
Mm-hmm. Some of this stuff seems doable, no doubt. Like each team to have a rushing touchdown, almost 4-1. And then we talked about it yesterday that it's 100-1 at FanDuel to have two.
To have two, I bet. So they moved it now down to 90.
Uh-huh.
I put a little pizza money on 90. I just, you know what? Sports betting's supposed to be fun as well. So, again, think about the candidates that you have from all four of these teams to score the rushing touchdowns. Right? In the first game, Barkley, Hurts, enough said. The Commanders, Daniels, Brian Robinson near the goal line. For sure. Those are two top of my head. In the other game, you saw Hunt last week score for the Chiefs. They can go to Pacheco. They can get creative down at the goal line, maybe run somebody else. Mahomes could run one in.
Yep.
And then you have a slew of candidates on the Buffalo side. That's very difficult to pull off,
right.
But at 90-1, I thought, who cares? I'll put a pepperoni pizza on it.
Mm-hmm. Every team to make a field goal, plus 120. Every team to have a passing touchdown, plus 150. Every team to have a touchdown and a field goal, plus 175. 2 field goals, 12-1. And then 2 passing touchdowns, 12-1 at DraftKings.
Yeah.
Non-quarterback to throw a touchdown, 10-1.
So you're going to get 4 different teams here to do that because that's going to be a very popular bet in the Super Bowl. You're down to the final game of the season. Now you get the entire weekend here, 10-1 on that. Who's going to take the ball out of the quarterback's hands?
That'd have to be something with Kansas City, I would think.
Yeah.
Maybe
could it be the
Kelsey gadget play? Yeah, okay, I don't know, maybe.
It's not going to be the Commanders unless Mariota would somehow, again, they brought him in to run that play in 4th down last week, but I'm not so sure.
This is you're going to hate yourself if this comes in. Kelsey touchdown at 100 yards plus 625. That's here at Circa.
Yeah.
Again, we talked about this and what his prop is right now, and what he's gone over that like 14 straight playoff games. What his prop is right now, and he always delivers, especially in AFC title games, which we talked about and mentioned it. So to me, it's like you'll hate your life. His last 4 AFC title games, 11 for 116 in a score, 7 for 78 in a score, 10 for 95 in a score, 13 for 118 and 2 scores.
Sure. He's had 71 or more receiving yards in 14 consecutive postseason games.
Yep. He's also the co-favorite, along with McLaurin, to have the most receiving yards on the day.
Yeah.
It's probably another one where you hate life if that comes in.
Think about this for a second. He's had 8+ catches in 8 of his last 14 postseason games, 10+ 5 times. He's cleared 90 yards receiving in 10 of those 14 games. Mm-hmm. He's cleared 100 receiving yards in 6 of them. The high mark was 133. I was looking at ladder bets today. Alt catches, 8+ is plus 145. 9+ is plus 230. You want to get crazy? You want to go to 10 or more? It's plus 390. 11 or more is plus 650. How about yards? 80+ yards, Kelsey, plus 148. 90 plus 225. 100 plus 325. Paul, you could go up to 125 plus at plus 790. You can go to 150 plus receiving yards at 16-1 if you want to go crazy. I can't get there that high. But again, if you climbed the ladder last week, you hit every rung with Travis Kelsey, and you were dancing at the end of the game. I think P. Ryan can be it as well. You talked about the Bills earlier on. They allow 44.2 yards per game to running backs, most in the league. 2+ catches for P. Ryan is plus 145. 3+ catches is around plus 460. 20+ yards is plus 250. 30+ yards is plus 575. I know there's a lot of numbers here. But P. Ryan had 8 games with at least 2 catches and 8 games with at least 20 yards in the air. He had 3 games with 30+ receiving yards and 1 game with 50+ receiving yards. So all that correlated here. I bet P. Ryan last week. It was no good. I don't even think he had a single target in the game. I'm betting him again, and I got creative. I went up a little bit of a ladder. I didn't go every rung, but I went up a little bit, a mini ladder with him on this game. I think there's a path here where they can't run the football. The Bills have had really, really good rushing defensive numbers since about week 10, last half of the season. Guys back now, healthy, linebackers ready to play again. And they did a pretty good job on Baltimore last week. If the Chiefs can't run the ball, and I do think the Bills are going to be able to score in this game, you're probably going to have to open it up for Mahomes. And that, to me, is going to be, again, we talked about Kelsey and his postseason history. And I also think there's going to be a lot of spots here where P. Ryan should be in the game. He is their best receiving running back.
The Washington angle, there's two things here. What if they fall behind and they got to play catch-up? What if they have no answer for Barkley and he's gashing them? Daniels to throw for 300 yards is plus 575. And the other one, much like what happened Saturday in Detroit, if they're going to win the game, Daniels has to do something, and you would figure either McLaurin or Robinson get in the end zone, and they both did Saturday. Daniels 2 touchdowns and they win is plus 450. Daniels to score and they win is 7-1. So is Robinson, and McLaurin 6-1. And those were a lot higher, obviously, because of playing Detroit last week, but all those came in last week as well. So that's also, you're telling me Washington is going to win, a low-scoring game where McLaurin doesn't do anything and Daniels has an average game? I mean, Hurts will just have to be atrocious then for something like that. So that, I think that's interesting with Washington with the angle if they fall behind. And then
I want to flip it real quick. What happens if the Commanders get out to an early lead? What's the conversation like with Sirianni and Kellen Moore? Let's say it's 14-0 end of the first quarter Commanders.
Well, you can't get away from them.
But you can't. There's no way you can, but will they?
No, they can't because he's going to take you 50, 60 yards, no problem. And
I just don't trust those two. I don't trust Sirianni. And that'd be a horrible spot for the Eagles to be in.
But I think you know right away about Hurts, too. Let's see what the knee looks like, and let's see if he takes off right away and if he's scrambling and what it looks like through the air.
Who'd you have your eye on for Super Bowl MVP at this point?
Well, I will tell you, and I know you don't want to see it, but if we get a Chiefs-Eagles Super Bowl based on some of the performances we've seen from Mahomes, and he didn't do anything last week, and what's Hurts going to? Hurts could throw for 130 yards. Yeah. You really could make the case for a defensive player to win MVP if that's our Super Bowl matchup. But there's definitely a case to be made that someone other than Mahomes can win MVP, and he's 3-1. Hurts 5? No way.
No.
Same as Barkley. Kelsey 28-1. A.J. Brown 45. Chris Jones 60. Worthy 70. McLaurin 90. Carter 100. You mentioned what was Butker 400? The guy bet 500-1.
1,000-1.
1,000-1. Get Goddard 150-1. I think there's a case. Mitchell's 200-1. I think there's a case to be made that a defensive player could win this.
How about Bond?
If it's a Chiefs-Eagles Super Bowl.
He's got to be a huge number.
Yeah.
250 or 300-1 or something like that?
Yeah. He's in that range too. Yeah.
I'll ask you this, Paul. Who would have been the MVP last week of the Chiefs-Texans game in your opinion?
Kelsey.
Had to be. Would voters give it to him?
Yeah. After a while, I know you're shook after what happened with Ohio State.
Well, I didn't have the running back. I didn't have Junkins. If I did, I would have been pissed.
Yeah. I would think that the right thing there would have been Kelsey.
Yeah, it had to be.
I mean, if I'm throwing a 5-yard pass and then he runs it all the way down, come on. Getting ready for Big Game 59 with a big deal to match. Save $59 off the VSiN Pro annual subscription when you sign up using promo code FTM. Become a VSiN Pro annual subscriber and bet smarter all year long. Every best bet, every host, every guest, the betting splits, DraftKings, and Circa. You must get the website and see everything that's up there. It's incredible. Mackin with the betting systems, Cohen on the NBA, Burke on college hoops, Hoops Peterson, Nigel with soccer, and the prop analyzer as well. So easy to use and navigate. VSiN.com/subscribe code FTM.
Win some, lose some is up next. Very few people were high on the Commanders this year. Wait until you hear the teams that took more future bets than Washington in the preseason. That's coming up next here on VSiN.
Last night? Wow, winning. Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser! Pauly Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
Blazers in action tonight. Best team in the league on back-to-backs, and they throttled Orlando last night. Plus 220 on the money line. Hawks got me again. Down big in the first quarter. Came back to take a 6-point lead in the fourth and still lost to the Raptors plus 170. Lakers 2-1. Oh, great bet. Horrible spot for the Celtics. Lakers blew out Boston at home. Celtics off an overtime game the previous night.
They killed them from the jump.
Yeah.
And the Celtics took money before the game.
Yeah. I know.
I didn't get that.
That was surprising. Mavs 5-1. Oh, boy.
Why do they have the Thunder's number?
They do. They went 3-1 against them, and they're not afraid of them. It doesn't matter who's out. They still beat them as 13-point dogs.
Yeah, that opened, I think, 11 and a half.
Oh, boy.
That's the one team, I guess, that OKC has to avoid in the playoffs?
It appears that way. And you can't do that. Joker. Lively's out, too. Joker does it again. At Bet365, they have 15, 15, and 15 was 16-1.
Okay, think about how ridiculous that is. Right? But that tells you how good the guy is. 16-1 to have 15, 15, that should be like 200-1.
Yep. Last 3 games, he's averaging 23, 15, and 11. He's had 5 triple-doubles in the third quarter. He has more triple-doubles this month than SGA, Tatum, Davis, Lillard, Nash, Wade, Duncan, Pistol Pete, and Paul George in their entire career. More triple-doubles this month. College hoops, Maryland plus 240. Cal Riverside plus 250. Louisiana Tech, Western Kentucky under. 150 down to 145. 77-67. And Northeastern. 1 up to 4. 1 win some. The 2027 national title game, college football, is here in Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium. January 25th.
Are we pushing it a little bit late here now?
Yeah, we're pushing it.
I mean, that's what? That's tomorrow.
Wow.
Think about that.
That's nuts. Subscribe, be part of the team, vsin.com, our radio and podcast friends. You always want to see these tweets and videos. The dog has been waiting for the Amazon order longer than the human. As soon as the door opens, oh, bam, got it. Grabs it in his mouth, takes the Amazon order, and away he goes. That's incredible. Look at this. Okay, the door's open. Give me that.
All right.
He grabs it, knows it's waiting for it. Piece of cake with the tail wagging. Had it the whole time. Excellent. You sent this in. Man swings on the palm tree. These guys who have to go up there and trim the palm trees and cut that stuff. And look at, the thing's bending. And he's up there climbing it like Snooker looking for coconuts. And how he's trying to get up there with the chainsaw. You know, we used to do this when I was with the ex with the palatial estate in the back. And they would go, oh my God. How they would climb up there and locked in with their boots. And oh my God, now he's swinging.
What?
This is nuts. I'd vomit.
I don't even know how much money you'd have to offer me. I
Look how
don't even
high
know
he
what
is
number.
up
Look
there.
at this guy.
Yeah.
He's hanging on by a thread. What is he, 150 feet in the air? I don't know. That's probably a bit much, but
Well, you go up there with a chainsaw and you got with your boots and anything goes
Wow.
wrong. The wind kicks up. Who knows, right?
hazard pay.
Yes, it is. Yeah. That was, oh my God, incredible video. Couldn't do it.
Oh my Lord.
I'd go in my pants because I'm afraid of heights.
I almost am right now looking at it.
And you're talking about swinging back and forth.
Oh,
If you're the kind of player who wants to drop $10,000 or more on an NFL line at the best price in the market, if you're looking for instant acceptance on your in-game bets, you need Sport Trade, the app that's revolutionizing sports betting. $4 lines instead of the standard $10. Instant in-game betting and a concierge player service. Sport Trade delivers a premium betting experience like no other. Live in Jersey, Colorado, Iowa, Arizona, and Virginia. Download Sport Trade today, code VSIN. Get a 10% cash back on every wager during your first week. You got to be 21. Check it out. It's awesome. Now look at this. The Commanders are 1 win away from becoming one of the biggest preseason long shots ever to reach the Super Bowl. David Purdom, ESPN Chalk. They kicked off the season at 150-1. They drifted out to 250 before week 3. With a win, they would tie the 1999 Rams for the longest preseason odds for a Super Bowl team since 1978. 27 teams, including the Titans, Giants, and Patriots, that's crazy, attracted more bets than the Commanders. There was 10 times as much money wagered on the Jets than the Commanders entering September. 4 months later, they're the most popular bet on the board at BetMGM. More bets have been placed on the Commanders to beat the Eagles on the money line than any other outcome championship weekend. 250-1. Week 1, they were blown out in Tampa.
and that's why they went back up.
Uh-huh.
Right, because again, in the summertime here, they were 250-1.
I don't remember the 0-1 Patriots, what they were. But that was also unlikely what happened.
Yeah.
Brady and they were coming off a bad season. But 4-13 last year and 1 win away from going to the Super Bowl and a rookie quarterback. And, sixth guy to do that, and the previous 5 lost.
Well, this is why I like to take long shots, right? And I like the Commanders this year. Did not have a future ticket on them to win the NFC, nor did I have a ticket on them to win the Super Bowl. but I had their win total over, and I thought Daniels was going to work out really, really well. I liked Kingsbury going there as the OC. But it's easy to look at right now, today, and say, okay, that makes a lot of sense, right? But you have to have the vision months before this to grab numbers at 150 or 250 to 1 to actually think that it might make some sense. Like in this case, and the reason why I bet their win total over, weak schedule outside of the NFC East, and they had a chance to play the Giants twice. I thought the Cowboys were going to be on the downtick as well. Maybe not as bad as they were, but certainly coming back from the pack. Daniels was phenomenal at college, won the Heisman Trophy, electric on the field, and the combination there of getting rid of that garbage that was in charge of the coaching staff and overall collectively as a staff, and you bring in Dan Quinn, who's a proven guy, a winner, and Kingsbury is the offensive coordinator. Like the combination of those three things made sense. And if you tie it in also to like what happened last year in Houston, right? New head coach, got the garbage out. Stroud may be working, and I did not have anything on Houston. But when you clear out the crap that was there before and you bring in some other coaches that are either proven winners or you think they're going to be a little bit more creative with the play calling, a little bit better on the offensive side of the football, and you have some new personnel on top of it, like they brought in Bobby Wagner. They brought in Austin Eckler, right? Now, Wagner, people will probably say that he was shot. You would have been wrong on that. He's had an impact this year. But that's the kind of team that you have to look for to make a run and be in a position like this. I thought it was going to be Atlanta. New coaching staff, although my mistake there was Morris stunk in his previous stop.
Yeah.
But I like Cousins going there, although he was off the injury, and they had on paper, like by far and away, the easiest schedule in the NFL for a second consecutive year. And I love their weapons on offense. But I was wrong with that team and others, including our next guest coming up in about 10 minutes, Chris Massero. He was all over the Commanders. Loved them.
Rookies aren't so supposed to play like this either.
That's true.
These other teams that it's happened, they were led by the defense, and they were game managers. Sean King, Roethlisberger wasn't that great. It was a great Pittsburgh defense. Sanchez.
Russell Wilson
Purdy
was good.
Yeah. Flacco. So, but what this guy's doing with a defense that's ranked 30th against the run and outscoring people, and 5 touchdowns against Philly, that's just, and then goes in there and drops 40 on Detroit last week.
Sure, right. Now, again, like I brought this up yesterday on the show, people are going to be looking for, like after the draft this year in free agency, who's going to be this year's Houston, who's going to be this year's Washington. Probably not going to happen next year.
Bears?
Yeah, but they're not going to have, like, people are floating around a win total of the Bears of like 9.5.
Oh, God.
And that's an automatic play to the under for me.
Yeah.
But so if their win total's in that 9 range, they're not going to have a great number like that. Cleveland?
Jacksonville? I like Cohen. I think he's a good coordinator. I think he can help out Lawrence. That could happen. Bad division.
How about Stefanski and Cam Ward in Cleveland with that defense? The defense was good again this year. Garrett's a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year. They got dudes on that team.
Stefanski calling plays. Yeah.
The problem is that division is it's not a piece of cake. I'd like to say Jacksonville, like you said, but I'm not there with Trevor Lawrence either.
Yeah. That's wild. New England. Who was betting the Patriots to win the Super Bowl? Oh, man.
Yeah, think about that.
Oh.
Who's betting the Giants?
Yeah, that was another one. Right.
Wrong
Jets,
team in that division.
Yeah, Jets, I understand. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I get the Jets.
Yes. But that's New England's. Look how low their win total was.
It was the lowest in football.
Everyone was pounding the alt 3.5, which should have won.
Yeah. Would that be the team, actually? New England? Year 2 of May? Bringing Vrabel at coach?
Man, that's a tough division, too. I'd be more inclined to look at Carolina. I thought Canales did a good job with Bryce Young down the stretch.
That's a good point.
Bad division.
Young was really good.
Yeah, he was. Came on. They can shore up that defense, which was so bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Certainly, I mean, they could be better than, oh my God, in that division, they could be better than the Saints next year. They can probably be better than the Falcons, maybe. Buccaneers, okay, all right. So on that note, professional sports bettor Chris Massero is going to join the program. He loved the Commanders in the offseason, and as a result, does extremely well if they win the NFC. Why did he like them, and is he going to monetize his ticket? We'll ask him coming up next.